And if I don't think I look like a complete idiot, I might actually put this on YouTube, but we'll see. You're gonna suck when you start. It doesn't matter. You need to just start. So my cat, who never meows, just meowed while I'm doing this recording. Oh my God. If you're watching this on video, I do need to cut my bangs. I'd never seen so much fleece in my life. I feel like I sound like a frog. I don't think I ever want to own anything that's fleece. I used to have these amazing acrylic nails and I was breaking them. Most of my clothes are fleece. Oh my God. Hopefully, if you're bipolar, I will also appeal to you because apparently I am too. So there you go. There goes the cat again. Do you believe this? I swear to you, my cat Bella never meows, and she's meowing right now, and she's here. Oh my God. And now my neighbor is building furniture upstairs, apparently. Oh, do you hear that? I never hear my neighbors. My cat never meows, and I never hear my neighbors. Oh my God. So yeah, so this is something that that's it, I'm starting. You need to just do a video, get it out there. This has been 2 years in the making and I just wanted to get started. If I can help anyone get off their butt and get outside and start hiking, I will be thrilled. And if I don't think I look like a complete idiot, I might actually put this on YouTube. Everybody, it is me, Dahlia, the Dirty Boot Diva, and I am finally doing my first official podcast. I've actually recorded quite a few interviews that I planned on uploading after I introduced myself to everybody, so that is why I am finally getting this done. If I sound like I'm a little weird, for those of you who might know me outside of the podcast world, I have been losing my voice on and off for the past month. And I have been trying to do my podcast videos, and every time I go to do it, something happens and something goes wrong, and I'm just so fed up with waiting. It has been 2 years in the making, literally. Some of you might be joining my podcast who also listen to the Ladies Chit Chat Club, which is Mandy Connell's amazing podcast. And I've been a guest on many of those shows. And you've heard for a year that Dirty Boot Diva coming soon, Dirty Boot Diva coming soon, any day now, Dirty Boot Diva. Well, a lot of things have happened in my life, and everybody has their crap, and I know that, but it seems like mine is constant. And I've just gotten to that point where I'm like, okay, just do it. Dive in, because my life is never going to be perfect, and nothing in my life is ever going to be perfect. And if anything, my life is very imperfect. And I think a lot of women feel the same way about their lives. So maybe I'll be able to help some of you that are sort of going through the same thing that I'm going through at this point in my life. Let me give a little background to some of the people who might be new. And just so you know, I am not only recording this as a podcast, but I'm also videotaping it. And if I don't think I look like a complete idiot, I might actually put this on YouTube, but we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. And like I said, my voice normally doesn't sound like this. I feel like I sound like a frog, but hopefully you'll be able to bear with me and just let me get you through this first podcast. It's not going to be a long one. I just kind of want to tell you why I'm doing this, and then tell you what's happened in the last week that finally got me here sitting down in front of the camera and in front of the recorder doing this podcast. So here's a little background about me and how Dirty Boot Diva came to be. And obviously I'll be going much more in depth about this, but for now, this is sort of it in a nutshell. In 2010, I was diagnosed with a severe case of depression after being fired from what I thought was my dream job, forever job. I'm going to die sitting at my desk. And it didn't work out that way, and it really affected me tremendously. And fast forward a number of years later, after going to many psychiatrists, psychologists, my own primary care doctor, getting treated with all kinds of drugs, I still was feeling a little bit off, and I just felt like something was missing. And I had never been, see, this is what I'm talking about. So my cat, who never meows, just meowed while I'm doing this recording. This is what I mean about stuff happening and nothing being perfect. And I have a real problem with that because I'm a perfectionist. But anyway, I will continue. I digressed. So basically, I wanted something to stimulate my soul. I just felt like something was missing, and I was never an outdoorsy girl. I was on the swim team in high school, and I enjoyed being outdoors. I grew up in South Florida. I loved the water, but wasn't crazy about being at the beach all the time or being in the swimming pool or anything like that. And if anything, I was thrilled to get away from the humidity and moved to Colorado, and I moved here back in 1999. And I had so many friends that were outdoorsy, that were hikers and campers and mountain bikers and skiers and snowboarders, and I just never got into any of it. And it sort of became a big joke when I would go with a group of girlfriends and they would all ski or snowboard. My job was to hold the après-ski table at the bar and make sure there were enough chairs for everyone when they came down the hill. And it was a very important job that I took very seriously, obviously. So, and sometimes I got some free drinks out of that gig. So it worked out great. But back in 2015, I just decided I wanted to start enjoying the outdoors. And I really started slow. I started walking around some local parks. The parks here are absolutely gorgeous. My favorite one is called Washington Park. And I started walking around the park, and then I thought, well, maybe I might try to go, there goes the cat again. Maybe I'll try to go on a hike. And one thing led to another, and I did start hiking, and I joined some meetup groups, and I started to learn more and more about hiking, and I found, do you believe this? I swear to you, my cat Bella never meows, and she's meowing right now, and she's here. Oh my goodness, you can't, now she's running away. She just stays in my bedroom all the time. She's like a total diva, like her mommy, and now all of a sudden, when I'm recording, that's when she decides that she wants to be vocal. Oh my God. Anyway, long story short, I started hiking, and I started posting all of my experiences on Facebook. And stupid, funny, silly things were happening to me on every hike. Either I was falling down, I was breaking all my nails. I used to have these amazing acrylic nails, and I was breaking them, and just all this crazy stuff. And I just made light of it, and I started posting little stories on Facebook. And the response that I got was incredible. And a lot of the response I got was from friends who were similar to me, who were not outdoorsy, who were very, I'm going to get a manicure, pedicure, getting my hair done, going shopping, that kind of thing. And I was getting private messages from them, and they were saying, I've always wanted to go hiking. I've always wanted to try camping. I've always wanted to do this, this, and that, but I thought I would look stupid. Or, you know, the meetup group, everybody was so young, I felt like an idiot. Or, you know, different excuses as to why they didn't feel comfortable enough at that stage in their life to get out and try to start a new activity. And at the time I was 45. I am 50 now. And so women of my age range were responding to what I was saying, and they thought it looked like fun, and they were interested in doing it, but they just didn't know how to get started. So I think my little light bulb moment went off, and I said, if I feel this way, and I can be an idiot and do all these silly things and have all these crazy things happen to me, and I'm still enjoying it, and it's a wonderful part of my life, maybe I can inspire other women to do the same thing, and maybe I can form a group that will help arrange these kinds of activities for women of a certain age. And when I say that, the way I promote Dirty Boot Diva is women 40 and over. But the truth is, I don't care how old you are, and I don't even care if you're a woman. You can be a man, you can be whatever you want. If you think that you want to get out and start hiking and start camping and start backpacking and do all this stuff in nature, then I hope that my experiences can help inspire you to do that. And I've learned so much in the past 5 years, good and bad. And hopefully you can learn from my good experiences, you can learn from my bad experiences. And the reason I really wanted to concentrate on my podcast as well as YouTube is because when I was doing my research, trying to find other women who were hiking and backpacking and camping, all the YouTube people that I follow are wonderful, and I'll go through all those people at some point on a later podcast, but a lot of them are much younger and a lot of them are men. And there really wasn't any woman podcaster that was talking about the outdoors that was, in my experience, over the age of 45. And I thought, okay, maybe I can do this. So that's sort of the background of this whole thing. But what finally got me here tonight, it's kind of funny, and it just exemplifies sort of my life and how I always joke that the weirdest things happen to me at the weirdest times, and it's just a big joke all the time. Like my cat meowing for the first time in like years. So there were 3 things that brought me here today. And I'm looking at my computer screen right now, so forgive me if I'm not looking directly at the camera, but I just want to kind of tell you what led me here. And now my neighbor is building furniture upstairs, apparently. Oh, do you hear that? Do you hear that? Do you hear that banging? I swear to God, it's like someone's playing a joke on me. I feel like candid camera. Do you hear that? I never hear my neighbors. My cat never meows, and I never hear my neighbors. Oh my God. Anyway, maybe they're banging because they hear me for the first time. Back to my story. So, 3 things that got me here today. Back in November, I took a course called Worrier to Worrier, which was a 6-week class given at my local Chabad center. And I am Jewish, and I'm not a Hasidic Jew, but I love Chabad, and my parents got involved in the local Chabad chapter here, and I do like the rabbi very much, and I enjoy going to services there. So when I was at I believe it was Yom Kippur services, he was passing out this brochure about this course that he would be offering in a couple of weeks. And as soon as I saw the title Worrier to Worrier, I said, oh, well, this could be interesting, because I'm always worried and I'm always stressed and I'm always anxious, and that's part of my makeup. And I thought, okay, yeah, this sounds like something I could get behind. So I took that course, and that was very enlightening, and it sort of made me look at a lot of things that I was already discussing with my psychiatrist and my psychologist, but it really opened it up to me from a different perspective, from Judaism. So I will go more in depth about that on another podcast. Then I heard about this book called Present Over Perfect. another great title. And the full title is Present Over Perfect, Leaving Behind Frantic for a Simpler, More Soulful Way of Living. Okay, great. I've been trying to do that for the last 5 years. So I listened to that recording. I'm very into audiobooks. And when I listened to the recording, every time the author spoke, her name is Shauna Nyquist, I was like, yes, sister. Yes, I know what you're talking about. I get it. I understand what you're saying. And it was unbelievable. And the most interesting thing was, it took a while into the book, but I soon discovered that she is a very religious Christian, and she talks a lot about how her desire to stop trying to be perfect all the time and live in the moment helped her with her faith and her family and all of that. So I thought that was fascinating, and I don't think it should scare anybody away if because of the religious factor. The same thing with Worrier to Worrier. There's actually a website that I can send you guys to learn more about that as well. But it's just about stopping and taking a breath and living in the moment and trying not to let all the noise and the scatter around you affect your life. So I thought that was really interesting, and I listened to that book. And then the third sort of inspiration that finally got me to make this video is another audiobook called Vlog Like a Boss, and it is How to Kill It Online with Video Blogging. Now, I downloaded that book probably 6 months ago, and I just hadn't listened to it. And I actually downloaded a bunch of books about vlogging and YouTube and SEO for my website and just all this technical stuff. And I was listening to these books, and I have to be honest, a lot of them are just awful. They're just awful. They're boring. I hate to say it, a lot of them were from men, and I just wasn't feeling inspired at all. And a couple days ago, I finally put this audio in on my Audible and literally listened to the entire thing in a day. I mean, listened to it for 4 hours, and then I had to go do something, and then I listened to the rest of it. And I don't want to give too much away, because I'm highly recommending that anyone that's interested in doing any kind of YouTube channel or blogging or vlogging or podcasting, this book will help you, whether you read it or whether you listen to the audio version. And if you are anything like me, at the very end of the book, if you listen all the way through, you are going to be in tears. And that shouldn't deter you, but it's just the way the author, her name is Amy Landino. Actually, on the book, her name is Amy Schmittauer, but she's since been married. I think the book came out in 2017, maybe. I'll have to look that up. So she is married now, so you can search for the book. She has a website. She has a YouTube channel. She's just an incredible woman. And the way she explains how to do this and how not to let it get to you is very simple and interesting, and she has anecdotes. And the one thing that really stuck with me from all of her information was, you're gonna suck when you start. It doesn't matter. You need to just start. You need to just do a video, get it out there. Don't worry about, my hair doesn't look good, which, by the way, if you're watching this on video, I do need to cut my bangs, I know. Don't worry about your hair. Don't worry about, all these little things that you have no control over. Everyone that starts out with sucky videos, and then you learn and you keep practicing, and eventually you will have amazing videos and you will be very happy with them, or maybe not. She does talk about that too. Like, even if you're a perfectionist, you're never going to be happy, which is true. So that was sort of between that and the Worrier class, and then, the present over perfect, I just felt like it was a trifecta of inspiration. And I said, that's it. I am going to film this video and get this podcast up no matter what. And obviously I definitely stuck to that mission, because you're going to be listening to this and hear my cat, and you're going to hear my neighbors banging, creating some kind of new furniture or whatever they're doing. So yeah, so this is something that that's it. I'm starting. This has been 2 years in the making, and I just wanted to get started. And then the cherry on the cake of all of this was I just happened to watch a movie last night that I had heard about for quite some time and didn't really know anything about it. And it's called 180 Degrees South. And for those of you who might eventually get into hiking and camping and climbing and all these other outdoor things, it's called 180 Degrees South, Conquerors of the Useless. And it basically retraces the 1968 journey of two gentlemen who were climbers, Yvon Chouinard, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and Doug Tompkins. And I don't want to give it all away, other than to say if you Google their names, you will come to find that Yvon now, he started Patagonia, the company Patagonia, which is huge in the outdoor industry. And Doug actually started the North Face, which is another huge name in the outdoor industry. But the thing that struck me about the movie was one of the quotes from Yvon. And his quote was, "The word adventure has gotten overused. For me, when everything goes wrong, that's when the adventure starts." And I thought, yes, that is so true. That is the experiences that I've had. I've had so many things go wrong on so many hikes, and my big project was trying to hike the entire Colorado Trail this past summer, which did not work out at all as I had planned. But it was one disaster after another, and it was an adventure. And I was so taken by that quote and some of the other quotes that he had in the movie that I actually went and just looked up his name and quotes, and it's incredible how many things came up. And I'm going to include all this in my notes for the podcast and for YouTube if I do wind up putting this on YouTube. But another quote that I loved was, "Real adventure is defined best as a journey from which you may not come back alive, and certainly not as the same person." And I totally agree with that too. Not that I've had any total near-death experiences on the trail, but, crazy things happen and you're like, oh God, that could have turned out not very good. But he's right. You change when you take on these things in nature. And it sounds silly. I'm not a yoga person. I'm not into the whole Zen. If anything, I'm the opposite. I am always stressed and anxious, and that's a whole nother part of my mental health that I'm working on. But it's very hard for me to just shut down. I always have to be doing something in order to feel like I'm producing and being accomplished and succeeding. And it's very hard for me to just shut it all off. So the only time when I really feel like I do that is when I go on a hike or a backpacking trip or a camping trip. Yes, I still might get stressed out about some little things that happen along the way, but overall, I really feel like I'm a different person when I'm out on the trail. So that's what I'm hoping to get across to whoever's interested in this podcast and future, YouTube videos, hopefully. So all of that said, here's where I'm headed. And I'm looking at my list here because a lot of this I had already thought about in my head, but when I read Vlog Like a Boss, it really hit home that I was going down the right path, but I didn't really know how to organize all of it. And that book helped tremendously. And really, it talked about how to put what you want your experiences to be for the listener or the viewer into buckets, is what she called. Amy called them buckets. And then she talked about smaller pails that are within those buckets. For example, I'm going to do a podcast about me and tell you about my background, my history, where I grew up, how I grew up, why I call myself a diva, and why all of a sudden I became interested in hiking. And then as far as the mental health part, I think that's important. There's still a lot of stigma around mental health in general. And ironically, and maybe it's by the grace of God, I don't know, maybe it's a sign from God, but I actually just went yesterday and met with my new psychiatrist. My old one, who I adored, unfortunately left the office that I go to, and I had to be transferred to a new doctor. And after an hour with her, she is convinced that I probably have been mistreated for the last 10 years. And I don't necessarily have depression, but I have tendencies of bipolar disease, which I already knew because I had been diagnosed at the very beginning when I had my breakdown back in 2008 with borderline bipolar disorder. Borderline, I don't know exactly what that meant. It meant, they weren't going to stick me in a chair and shock my brain, I guess. But I did wind up taking some medication that is used for people who suffer from bipolar disorder. So now, all of a sudden, here I am, working on this project for the last 2 years thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to help women who suffer from depression. Well, now, hopefully, if you're bipolar, I will also appeal to you because apparently I am too. So there you go. So things like that I think a lot of people are uncomfortable talking about or, divulging to any, Joe Schmo. I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with talking about who I am and what I've been through because I think if it helps somebody else, then it's worth it. So on that note, the other issue I've been dealing with is trying to find out what else is going on with my body. I've had, since September, it's January now, I've had 5 MRIs on my brain, my spine, my cervical spine, my lumbar spine, and I see the neurologist again next Monday, and we're still trying to figure out what it is. Now, the initial diagnosis, which isn't really a diagnosis, is it could be MS, and I'm putting air quotes in the air right now. My brother happens to have MS. I'm very familiar with the disease. I'm familiar with the symptoms. When I got back from my hike on the Colorado Trail this summer, I had some symptoms while I was on the trail, and then when I returned, I also had some symptoms. And I just thought it would be wise to get an MRI of my brain, and sure enough, it came back, with a question mark. And so that's been going on for the past 6 months, and still trying to figure out what's going on there. So that is something else on my plate right now. But again, everyone has their stuff and other people have illnesses and things too, and I'm not letting it stop me. If anything, I'm more determined than ever to continue going outdoors, to continue hiking, because really that is the only time that I feel wonderful. So it's very important for me to get that across. Then once I get all that out of the way and tell you guys all about me, I'm going to start going into more of the experiences that I've had, as well as tools that might help you start to hike or get outdoors or do whatever outdoor activity it is that you might be interested in. So I'm going to be talking about books, magazines, movies, all kinds of things that I've found that have helped me move forward and gain more knowledge and more experience on my hiking and my backpacking and my camping. So I will be going over all those. I'm going to tell you who I follow on YouTube. I'm going to tell you why I follow them on YouTube. I am going to tell you about YouTube videos that have absolutely nothing to do with hiking, but are inspiring nonetheless and are connected in a weird way. And the way I explain that is I'm kind of obsessed with the whole tiny house movement. And part of that, I think, is the whole idea of simplifying your life and living with just what you need and not letting all the stuff in your life overwhelm you. And believe me, I'm working on that. I still have a lot of stuff. As you can see, this is my office, and I've got issues with keeping things that I should probably be getting rid of. But I've been a lot better about it, so I'll go through all that kind of stuff too. But I'm going to cover gear reviews. I'm going to cover industry news. I'm going to cover all kinds of things that are related to hiking and backpacking and camping, but also things that correlate with it too. So rock climbing, I'm fascinated by it. I've seen some amazing movies about it. I've read some amazing books about it, but I have zero desire to climb a rock because I am terrified of heights. And I'm not going to say never, because I've learned that I thought I would never, ever be a hiker. When I moved to Colorado, I actually kind of made a joke with a friend of mine who I stayed with. I told her I had never seen so much fleece in my life, coming from Miami, Florida. And I said to her, I don't think I ever want to own anything that's fleece. And now, if you look in my closet, I would say most of my clothes are fleece or some kind of synthetic brand, because that's what you have to wear when you hike. You can't wear cotton. You can't wear, these luxury fabrics, because they hold in water and they don't allow your skin to breathe, and you're going to sweat to death, or you're going to die from hypothermia because your clothes aren't going to dry. So I find it ironic that all of a sudden I'm like filled with fleece. I'm going to talk about different trails that I've done, different meetup groups. I'm going to talk about some of the problems that can happen when you join a group and things that you should watch out for. I'm going to interview some incredible people, not all women. I've taken some great classes through some local organizations, as well as REI offers some incredible classes as well. And along the way, I've met really interesting people who know a lot about hiking and backpacking in the industry in general. So I'm going to have interviews with them. And actually, one of the interviews I'll be posting shortly is an interview I did before I left to start the Colorado Trail. And that's with the Colorado Trail Foundation director. And you'll enjoy that, because it's sort of a preview of, okay, here's what you need to watch out for on the trail. And then you'll find out later what actually happened on the trail. So yeah, that should be fun. So basically, that's it. I just wanted to let you guys know who I am. And again, those of you coming over from the Ladies Chit Chat Club, thank you so much for being patient and waiting for me to finally do this. And if you are listening to this on my podcast channel, thank you so much. I would appreciate if you would subscribe or hit the like button. That would be wonderful. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll ask you to do the same. And if you want more information about me and my other social media outlets, please go to my website, which is dirtybootdiva.com, and I'll talk more about that as we move forward as well. But for now, I just wanted to give you a quick hello and tell you I'm alive, at least for now, and my life is still a dumpster fire. And those of you from the Ladies Chit Chat Club know what I'm talking about, because that was a podcast we did a while back. But even though everything is chaos and a mess, I still love that I'm doing this. And I love the fact that if I can help one woman or man, if I can help anyone get off their butt and get outside and start hiking, I will be thrilled. So stay tuned and be on the lookout for my next podcast and my next video. And I look forward to sharing all of my adventures with all of you. Get out and get dirty. Make sure to subscribe to the Dirty Boot Diva YouTube channel so you don't miss a video. And be sure to check out the Dirty Boot Diva Show podcast on Podbean or your favorite podcast app. For links related to this video, see the description below or visit dirtybootdiva.com. Thanks so much for watching. Now get out and get dirty.